Daniel, you want?
All right, so who wants the first one?
Jordan does.
We should say like a Benton or something, right? No, nothing. Moment of silence or something. Pressure.
Okay. We've talked a lot about comparing 2021 and 2022, the preparation ahead of the opener. Was this first fall camp practice any different than last year's, just because of all the time you've been able to have comparatively to 2021?
Yeah, there's so many things that are different that are for the better. I mean, obviously, as we've said many times, the players know coaches, know what to expect. I mean, we still had, a fair amount of new guys going through their first practice, so there's that little uncertainty and wandering of, where am I going next, or adapting to the pace and things like that. But all in all, the amount that was put in, the communication, yeah, there's some sloppy moments, but all in all, everyone's understanding and definitely in a good spot compared to, last year, you can go 2 to 3 weeks plus that we're still evaluating and trying to figure things out. Now, we have an idea. Now it's more into, it's still evaluating, but development at the same time. So it's a good feeling that way.
Is there anything that you didn't have to do this time around that you had to do last year?
Boy, there's probably a few of those, but they're probably some of the more just about, where we're going, how we're doing, and that. But that's just a carryover for anything of year one, I think, of, through even our spring ball stuff of locality and what we mean by certain words and terms, even in practice as we go, how we expect to finish and attention to detail and all that kind of stuff. Jeremy Robinson's a young man who just, to me, continues to get better, but the thing that impresses me, because he's kind of an epitome one, and I don't mean to exclude other people, but he's got such a motor right now that we need at that defensive end spot. And there's one play today, 2 other guys fell down, and as he's running and he already got past the quarterback and he knew it's time to go now chase the ball, he's kind of young. The other guys get up, and those guys bounced and went. To me is a huge difference of where we're at. Players leading players, but then the way they're responding and doing it, to me, is very impressive.
Housekeeping, is there one who's limited or maybe not expected to participate much during fall camp, just injury-wise?
Jason Gilliam will be the one right now, will not go through fall camp. Right now, other than that, we're in decent shape. Somebody?
Lance, we talked a little bit about Jalon and the entire Big 12 Media Days and his role and responsibilities here. You joked even then, do we even have to name him the starter? But is that basically the plan now? Definitely clear cut.
We're going to come back to that.
Get out of the way, I guess. Yeah, I'm trying to
again, there's everybody's going to compete. Yeah. Do I expect Jalon to start game 1? Yeah, I would. But I thought Jason Bean had a good day today, and I know there's some throws right off the bat Jalon wish he had back today. So, so if you want to type right now, Leipold expects Daniels to be the starter, go ahead and type it, okay? And that's probably the best way I'll answer it at this time.
Beyond those guys, we know obviously what Jason can do. You've got 2 younger guys with Ben and Ethan too. What are their responsibilities and roles in camp, and how can they help the other 2 guys get ready?
Get better every day, learn the offense, help point out things. Again, all the development that Jim does in the meeting room, day by day. They continue to develop. Jordan Preston's here as well. All those guys have important roles for us to develop as a team. And we'll see kind of how between Ben and Ethan, really, I guess will be the other battle there that we competition we'll continue to see, and you want to put yourself in a good position. Kind of back to the other question before, you look at last year, we had Jalon and Jason, Miles, and you're trying to, you've had guys that have played in games, but yet nobody ever really took the job. So we're trying to split reps 4 ways plus. You're not getting a lot done. I think, but our practice format allows us to do some things, but we'll get to the point where, those other guys are going to be getting most of the work.
You told the story there about Jeremy. That position group, the defensive line, is probably your oldest and most experienced, and one you didn't really have to address much in the past 8 months. What do you like about that rotation in that group and those guys?
Well, I want to make sure I'm clear. The defensive tackle position's the one that was. The defensive end position has been addressed. So I want to make sure that we're there. Lonnie Phelps has been brought in. Davian Westmoreland's been brought in. Dean Miller's been brought in. So 2 guys just had their first practice. But Hayden Hatcher's back off injury. Demarion Alexander at defensive end. As far as Malcolm Lee, Malcolm Lee's had a really good summer and his most consistent summer and things, and really love to see him. And I think he's on a right track to carry that in to August and September. So I think, in an area, if we got to be better stopping the run. Okay, that's no secret. There's one of the reasons we did what we did staffing wise, putting 2 coaches there so we can put more eyes on it. A lot of different things. So, and I think Jeremy's going to be one of those key guys when it comes to pass rush situations as well. I do like the experience and maturity of the interior guys and some of the adjustments we've made in philosophy. And, that I think will help us as well.
How many D tackles do you want to get on the field of the game? How do you want to divide those snaps?
Well,
Are we too far from that?
I don't know. I've been a head coach now. This is like year 16, and I've had I don't know how many defensive line coaches, and they all want to take like everyone to every game, and it's like, and they want to. It's a great rotating position. How many do I want to? As many that are ready to go, but I can. We could play 6 or 7. When you got Sam and Caleb. You got 2 young guys and Tommy Dunn and DJ. Caleb Taylor's had a really good summer. He's holding his weight a lot better than he did a year ago. I think he's pushing 300. And I think there were times last year he was playing, I don't even know if he's under 260 some games. And then Eddie Wilson and Ron McGee. So, there's a lot of pieces there. And again, one of the things is having consistent play, but also having depth that you're fresh in especially in the fourth quarter. I think Jim Panagos will, find the solid rotation there for us. And I forgot Keenan Caldwell in there as well. That's why I never should name all the guys. Brian, you'll always forget one and don't want to hurt anyone there so it's going to be competitive. And when we get to those things, and I think the defensive line's a great example, is that, they're going to fight for reps on, when you get in season Tuesday, Wednesday, I better be locked in and practice well.
How would you rate the excitement of the first day?
I'm sorry.
What you got done today?
I think we got a lot accomplished and done. Excitement. I think there's also, there was excitement. There's a buzz. You can always tell like certain times when we get back together, when they're around each other. I thought that was a lot yesterday. I think this group has a determination about them, that how they want to approach things and change really the direction of this program. At the same time, I think there's always that anxiety, I don't want to say anxious, little nervousness. Probably the way I felt a year ago. I didn't have that as much this time around because we know what we have with our players. And I think it's, we're starting earlier than ever. The NCAA let us start a few more days earlier, but then give us more practices. And I think it's all in all, that's a good move because we get more, they'll get more days off in between that hopefully will continue to keep us healthy as we move forward. But this group's excited. I think you do all this stuff from January through the end of July. Coach Gildersleeve, as he told them as he finished up going through some of the stuff from the summer with them and the great results that they improved on, he said, nobody came here to play weightlifting, okay? And you came here to play football, now it's time to go do it.
You mentioned Gildersleeve right there. I guess, how do you feel like everyone's doing in terms of the weight they put on? And you mentioned Caleb Taylor. Just overall, how do you assess
Matt went through a bunch of stuff with the players yesterday of where we were average weight last year, and kind of they'd compared some things in the Big 12 where we were at just in program wise of how much, quite honestly, undersized we were a year ago, and the gains we've started to make at every position. It's been great. He went through really all our testing factors, and as a team, there's things at certain benchmarks that we've doubled of where we were a year ago. So extremely pleased with that and the job Matt and his strength staff do for us. And, again, now we got to go out and make it work.
I'm curious too, for you, with so many newcomers and junior college transfers, what do you look for in these first few days before kind of the full pads come on, and how do you kind of evaluate people?
Just, again, you're watching basic, how they move around and do some things, how they're adapting to what we're doing. But, you can't, some guy, everybody's coming from a different starting point in some aspects. A lot of them you don't know, whether it be terminology or length of the day or meeting style, and so you try not to come with too many prejudgments or early judgments, because guys are going to progress at different times. Some guys may be headed to redshirting, okay, but still have the redshirt rule that you can play 4 games. Well, guys keep developing all the way through. They have a chance to help you even in November, and so don't want to get too far ahead of there. Again, all the new guys have got great attitudes. They've worked hard. And I also think on both sides of it, I say both sides, meaning returners and them, that's going to be competitive. And that's what we've been striving for.
Hey, Lance, can you talk a little bit about just special teams, what your thoughts are heading into camp with the guys and maybe the return game?
In special team, right now we're going to, that's probably, losing Kwame Lassiter, especially in punt return, has opened up some opportunities. We're going to have to find somebody who's going to make great decisions and, of course, secure the football. I made change special teams coordinator as well, kind of changed again in some format there where we're not going to have one coach coaching everything. We're having it broken down with lead coaches in a format that a lot of us are a little more comfortable with, and I think that's going to help us in the coaching aspect and attention to detail with some of that. And we got to be better there. We got to find ways to, get some hidden yardage. What I mean by that, by reducing returns on the opponent, creating a first down on our own end. Okay, and I really like our specialists. I should say I love our specialists. I just think they compete, they're consistent, they don't get flustered. But at the same time, there's certain times of the year where we kind of hit a lull last year, and we got to, again, be able to respond to adversity as we go through it.
We're going to talk to Sam in a second here, as he was on the preseason watch list for the top community servant in college football. It's just what did it mean to you to see him on that list, to see all his work, in the community recognized in that way?
Well, I think we talked last year, those of you that were in the room, about, his unselfishness and, it's kind of he and Jalon Daniels, Jalon, deciding to give up the red shirt, and Sam, after being hurt, deciding to red shirt, says a lot about their commitment to KU football, to their teammates, really to the community as a whole. But and Sam has always been about that. He's a selfless, giving person, and wants to be. And when those things come out, you're really happy that they get that notice nationally that they deserve.
Hey, Coach, with the depth you guys have at running back and then a couple quarterbacks who can run the football as well, do you anticipate this could be a run-heavy offense, or do you kind of have to be intentional about making sure that it doesn't get too run-heavy, or how do you find that balance when you have so many guys that can carry the football?
That's a great question. Again, we're never we've always strived to be as multiple as we can. I think we've talked about that at and evidence of that was, I think, at our last stop, we led the conference in passing one year, led the conference in rushing the next. We'll do what it's going to take to win football games, try to be as diverse and as multiple as we can. We know we want to be able to be explosive in the passing game and find some ways to be a little more consistent there. And again, that starts with our consistency and accuracy along the way that we've been working on. And but to your I think at least as we start on paper, the running back room is the most, probably the deepest of any room. With guys that have played Power 5 football, and that's exciting. But we've got to find ways to, again, get guys on the field, do different things, and find a way to move the football. And right now, everything goes. We're not going to hold anything back. And I think Andy and Jim Zabrowski and myself, we've been together long enough to be on the same page that we're going to do whatever it takes and be as multiple as we can, not to be predictable, but also get the ball in our playmakers' hands.
And you talked last year about kind of the importance of keeping talent in the state of Kansas, Kansas, and getting them to come to Lawrence. Can you just speak on kind of how that has progressed and how you guys are taking steps to try and do that here at KU?
Again, it continues through our high school relations, our camps, our follow-through, but much like turning this program around, so that's not going to be a light switch fix either, okay? And I think as we continue to show our consistency on just how we go about our day-to-day operation, running this program, and I think as we deal with, young male football players in the state of Kansas, I think they're going to see it and hopefully appreciate it. We know that there's fine talent here, and we're continuing to do everything we can to be able to keep them right here in Kansas.
Time for 2 more.
Lance, where do you stand in identifying your backup lineman, your swing tackle, your backup, those kind of guys, the next 3 and beyond that?
The next 3, well, we've had 1 practice. I mean, it's, well, we got, yeah, we're looking, again, in fact, it was interesting. I was listening to, I was listening to Chip Kelly at UCLA talking about things in personnel and his offense, and I thought it was really good, and it pertains to us. And so I'm going to kind of repeat what he says. We're going to try to find linemen 6, 7, 8. And then hopefully 9 and 10 as well, wherever they're coming from. Right now, after day 1, we got to get in pads. I think it'll be a great question in maybe 10 days or so, and I'll have a better answer for you, because some guys are just getting in there. We got a couple guys, Jay Deron and Dominic Pooney. It's their first day, okay? And now Drave's playing some center, but he started at right tackle at Buffalo all last year, but we had used him some at center in the spring prior to kind of dual train him. He's a very versatile guy. So is he going to play some tackle? He very well could. I think, Pooney's going to be in it as well, but he's just in his first day, and he just showed up about a month ago. So to see where all those guys are at, DK Stearns is going to be another guy that's had a good summer. Nolan, after going through spring. So we're going to wait and see on that. But I don't want to dismiss the question, because we have to solidify our second offensive line. And again, to keep in mind, a year ago, a lot of the second string offensive line were seniors. Joey Gilbertson and Adagio, and then Colin Grunhard didn't come back. And, there were some things there that left us with a big void. And then we had younger players that still are in developmental stage, through the spring. So now we got to see after this summer where it's going, okay? And I think, I sure hope I have better answers for you where it's rolling in about, after 10 practices.
Just one more thing I want to follow up on real quick.
Okay.
Nick Martinez, Jordan Medley, and Malik Johnson.
Yeah,
on the roster.
yes, they're no longer in the,
They've left the program.
yeah, and are still at school here.
Still in school.
Yeah.